G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Christie David, and you may know that I run a mortgage broking business called Atelier Wealth. And if you're a long-time listener, we love your feedback, so keep those questions coming in. And if you're a new listener, welcome. And each and every episode, we bring you someone that I call best in breed. So someone that lives, eats, breathes, sleeps, all things property related. And today's guest is a repeat offender, we'll call him. Hamada Alameddine, welcome back.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure the first time. I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, mate. You might want to jump in closer just that mic so we get you nice and loud.
Nice.
So BuyerX is the business name, but mate, we know you as a good-looking bloke with a beautiful hat on as well.
Thank you.
Inner West local, and we're going to touch on all things Inner West.
Sure.
But how's life been treating you, mate, since we last had a chat?
Good, busy. Things have shifted a little bit, I think, with the marketplace in terms of finance and I think more buyers coming on. So work has been slightly busier, but it's also harder because stock hasn't come through as well. But I've been well, just getting through this part of the year now where people are starting to wind down, but I feel like things are starting to ramp up as well, if that makes sense, in the sense that a lot of people are switching off, in terms of a lot of buyers are switching off, but there's still a lot of property to buy between now and Christmas. So looking forward to the run into the end of the year.
Mate, absolutely. I mean, even on that Christmas note, people are, I'll wait till next year. Yeah. We're actually, one of the agents down our way is launching a whole campaign on Boxing Day. Yeah. I think about 20-something listings coming up on Boxing Day. Wow. I'm like, that is new.
Oh, look, I've seen it before. They run them over Christmas so that buyers come back in the new year to see that.
But, and people have got time where they're searching online.
Well, that's it. But like you just said, people switching off now is music to my ears because I've got a bunch of clients on that are still progressively trying to buy before and during Christmas into the new year. So the more people that leave the market leaves more opportunity for people like myself and other buyers that are still there trying to close a deal or trying to find themselves a home. So if you're tired, take a break.
Less competition.
Absolutely.
Which almost like the value prop for a buyer's agent's right there. And like, I mean, I've been very vocal in terms of like buyer's agents, but that again in turn is the value prop, which is, hey, we can mentally switch off, but someone else is still going to be switched on and looking for opportunities as well. And
that's why a lot of people would engage with a buyer's agent leading into this time of the year if they hadn't, or if they're running, from a few months ago running into this time of the year. Having a buyer's agent on your side is, I feel, imperative, right? Like you can go on your holidays, you can spend time with your family. I will be away, but I'm still there. I'm still connecting with agents. I'm still tracking what's available and what's coming up for clients in my patch with those agents. Yeah, a lot of agents will switch off too, but most agents.
But we know agents don't actually switch off.
Exactly, but if they did, their juniors or their associates don't. So it's making sure that you're front of mind, right? Yeah. A lot of agents are holding stock now for next year. Yeah. So that they've got some momentum leading into the new year, but agents still need to sell property to maintain cash flow, right? So an agent would like to hold it for next year if they could, but if they can sell it this year for for reasonable price of what it's worth, they're still going to try to transact. So taking your foot off the pedal right now probably isn't the best thing to do. But look, I've noticed it during opens, I've noticed it at auctions, I've noticed on the weekends it's definitely a lot less busy at this time of the year. Yeah, but property still transact. If it passes in on Saturday, you tend to sort of see it sell in the next week, maybe two afterwards. So look, having a buyer's agent on your side right now is probably the best thing because you can wind down and switch off and enjoy time with your family. But it's my role as my client's buyer's agent to make sure that I don't take the foot off.
Beautiful, I love it. Now you specialize in Inner West. Yep. And this is debatable about what areas fall into the Inner West. And I've heard some interesting areas kind of go, put our hand up going, we're part of the Inner West. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. So what do you define as the Inner West?
Look, there's 26, 27 odd suburbs in the Inner West, I guess, Shire Council, right? But, there's other suburbs that sort of border that could be. And I'm saying could be because a lot of people from the Inner West proper are now buying in those suburbs and eventually they're just going to expand and that demographic is going to become the Inner West. The Inner West is defined by a boundary that council sets out by other councils. But, there's parts of like Burwood, Croydon Park, Enfield, Belfield, and then, on the other side, Bardwell Park, Earlwood. Earlwood's been drawing a lot of, I've bought so much property in Earlwood in the last 12 months or 24 months, I'd say, from people that have come from, Balmain, Leichhardt, Stanmore, Petersham, Concord even, because, they sell over there or they can't find what they want in those suburbs, and they start looking at suburbs that border where they want to be, and then you get more space, bigger homes, great amenities, good public transport. Those respective councils. The lifestyles councils are spending a lot of money on upgrading parks, amenities, streets, and the rest of it. So
beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the debate of where the inner west is. The inner west is wherever you want it to be, I suppose. But, if we mapped it out, it's drawing a line sort of, from that city fringe across the Balmain and sort of back down to Madrigal, Dulwich Hill and the suburbs at that border there. So,
which is some really, you look at it, some really iconic blue chip, highly sought after areas, and then you got some real emerging areas as well, and some areas that are real changing and shifting of the guard there.
Well, the guard's been changing for 10 to 15 years, but it's becoming a lot more evident now for sure with a lot of the people moving out, naturally or, by necessity, and then people that are buying in a much younger demographic, a different different ethnicity, let's say.
We can call a spade a spade.
Oh, of course. And the areas that you knew that were heavily influenced by the Greek community or the Vietnamese community or Lebanese community or the Asian community, those older people have moved on and they're being bought in by a much younger generation, much more diverse, a lot more open to travelling. So, being near train stations isn't that important. A lot of people buy in Ashfield, at the back end of Ashfield or Ashbury or Dulwich Hill, where, you might be able to walk to a train station or to a, light rail.
Yeah.
But it's not imperative to be right near one so you can get on the train to get to work anymore. A lot of people work from home, so they look for space. And, Balmain or Annandale space compared to Dulwich Hill, Earlwood space, for instance, completely different.
Yeah.
And if you sold a big home in Balmain, you'd buy a lot more home further out than you would back into Balmain, so to say. So, demographics been shifting. The passing on the baton, so to say, has been going on for 15 years. But I feel in the last 5 years it's really, really energised. Like Leichhardt, for instance, I grew up there. I went to school there. I live there at the moment. There was a lot of Italians. Still a bit, and there's still that cultural influence on
remnants of
Street.
Italian Plaza still hanging on.
Let's not talk about that. That's another debate. We can talk about the Forum for days.
I remember when it first opened. It was iconic when it opened,
and then it just went down the sinkhole pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
I think without pointing fingers, having to pay for parking and restricted parking. Probably was the demise of Norton Street, so to say. That's slowly coming back. But as I was going to say not too long ago, Norton Street was vibrant. It was Little Italy. It's far from it now.
Yeah. It's sad looking, but anyway.
So a lot of the Italian people have moved out. Like a lot of the kids that grew up there are now adults and trying to buy back in, but it's extremely expensive to buy, right? So they start looking at other areas. And so having, I think we had people migrate from other countries into certain areas back in the, 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, and they all congregated and they've all moved on, and now people are buying wherever they can afford. So that's where I think the demographic shift comes from. But then you look at Erskineville and Newtown and, areas that are a lot more diverse and forward-thinking and welcoming. And, so you're starting to have, I guess, cultural pockets pop up, right? Yeah. So that's cool, man. Like the inner west has always been, there's everything there, like from, it doesn't matter what demographic you come from or what socio-economic background you come from. If you can't afford people come there because of the community sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you go through most of the inner west at Halloween and there's a whole bunch of kids getting around trick-or-treating, right? There's end-of-year street parties in most streets and it's real community-based and it really is love your neighbour, right? Like it's a pretty cool spot. And
that's one of the understated parts of buying your own home, I feel, which is that community. Like you're buying into a street community, you're buying into that area, you're buying into like the vibe and the village feel.
Without a doubt. Whenever I conduct my due diligence and I've done this in my own content, right? Before we exchange, I go and knock on the door surrounding the property we're looking at buying. I want to make sure we're buying into that, what we just spoke about, that community. Like if there's 10 cars and a whole bunch of people walking in and out every day, like it sort of raises some flags. You can understand who they are and what they're doing and how long they might be there for.
Yeah.
You know, you can't pick your neighbours and they'll change over time.
Yeah.
But initially, when we are buying, we want to understand who we're buying next to, and hopefully the people there are the people we want to be living next to.
I love it. You mentioned about the changing the guard, for example, and I mean we've moved down to the south, so anyone that's followed Bernie's and my personal story, we bought in Woonona, near Bulli and Thurul, and those areas have gone through a radical change as well. I mean, a lot of people even from the inner west or Sydney have moved down there, pushes the median house price up, and then the locals are going, what they're willing to pay that much. And then there's even a real shift in the demographics in the area, people that have been there for quite some time. And you get this almost undertone a little bit going the old versus the new. And again, you mentioned this before. How does that kind of, from your perspective, how is that kind of playing out at the moment when you got the two worlds colliding?
Oh, it's crazy because we're competing against people that are coming from other areas with more money, right? If you sell in the eastern suburbs, small house, and come to anywhere in the inner west, you're going to have a fair chance of buying whatever you want there, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's where a lot of people are coming from the Lower North Shore, a lot of people coming from across the water in Hunters Hill and Gladesville, and a lot of people coming from the eastern suburbs. And that is the changing of the guard, right? So a lot of people are coming into the inner west with inheritance money as well, something that I'm starting to find who I talk to people and young people that are making okay money. I understand how finance works and how serviceability works. Yeah. And you start trying to work out, well, where's the money coming from? A lot of times
doesn't take a genius to figure this out.
Well, exactly. So a lot of times it's inheritance, whether it's their parents or directly to them. Yeah. So their capacity might not be great, but they come in with a chunk of cash and they're becoming a lot more competitive. So it's interesting because there's different people coming in. From different areas, and they're just adding to the diversity of where they're settling, right? So it's been fun to watch. It's been difficult to buy in because you're competing against people
cashed up.
That are definitely cashed up. But it's just the nature of the game. You just got to get better on how you source property, and you've got to get better at strategy during auctions and pre-auction negotiations. And it's just the way it is, and it'll always be like that. And, in 20, 30 years' time, we'll be talking about a different breed of people coming through.
Great.
So
great.
Hopefully by then I'll be well retired and on the south coast.
I'll see you down there.
Yes. Hopefully.
Mate, you mentioned, and I'm going to circle back to the start where you go, hey, look, you're working between buyers and vendors, and this is where your vendors' heads at. Some are switching off, some are still going, look, Hamada, keep looking. What is the buyer sentiment like as well, especially as we kind of go through this period of 13 rate rises over time, and uncertainty sometimes in the market? Do they take a bird in the hand for an offer? Do they run the gauntlet to auction? What's the sentiment?
Look, first home buyers are very much like that. I feel like I've had a lot of inquiry recently with people sub 1.5 mil, for instance.
Yeah. Which is always this magical number around the inner west, right? Which I feel like that's getting blown out.
Sort of like an entry level now. Yeah. Like it's even getting difficult.
Absolutely.
If you're looking for a house now for 1.5, it doesn't buy you much. No. Yeah. But I feel first home buyers are starting to see the writing on the wall with the money they have. If rates go up, their capacity or their buying power, sort of fades a bit. And if rates go down, I think the market activity is going to get extremely competitive again, and they're going to get priced out. So it's definitely like my mantra with anyone that works with me is the right time to buy is now. If you're financially capable and you're searching for a property, you need to, look, it'd be great to tick off every box we like, but if you can't make compromise, then you're going to struggle to buy. Yeah. First and foremost, expectations need to be in line with reality, with the market, and then you need to work on compromises. You're not going to get everything you want.
Correct.
People that are upsizing are a bit harder to come to that realization, where people buying for the first time are like, we just need to get into the market because we know if we wait any longer, we're going to get bought out of or we're going to get priced out of the market, I should say. So, and then you've got people that are in the, much bigger budgets with much more cash that are very specific with what they want, depending on work or schooling or lifestyle or whatever it might be, that do take their time, but they seem to be a bit more astute with decision making and being able to act when they need to. But again, people need help in different areas. So once I can, establish where people need help most, that's where I sort of tend to lean more on through their journey. I qualify my clients immensely before we do something to make sure that we can find what we want, but to make sure that they're buy ready.
Yeah.
And I think if you're buy ready, then you've got no problem.
And what about how many properties are sold off market or pre-market? What's that kind of flow like?
Off markets have been steady for quite some time. I'd say it's hard to put a number. From what I've been seeing, I'd say, out of 10 properties, 2 or 3 would sell off market. There's off markets are off markets for a reason.
Yeah.
Either vendors' expectations are sky high still, or there's issues with the property, or people can sell off market because they know what they want, they know what their property's worth, and if the agent can find the buyer that's there, then they save on marketing, they save on staging, they don't have to displace tenants, they don't have to move out themselves, they don't have to have people coming through their home.
Yeah.
So depending why the property is listed off market will sort of dictate if it sells or not. But yeah, I'd say anywhere between 20-30% will trade off market.
Yeah.
Leading into Christmas now, a lot of it's off market. Like listings have stopped, right? We're sort of early in December at the moment, and there's no more live listings. Yeah, there's some people running auctions on the day before Christmas or whatever it might be, but not much is coming up online. Agents still need to transact. There's still stock that needs to move, right? So they're reaching out to people with qualified buyers, or they're reaching out directly to qualified buyers to make sure that they can, if they can, do a deal before Christmas, which is great for me because, like I said earlier, a lot of buyers are switched off. So agents are definitely more active, without doubt, trying to move stock that they're holding for next year, whether you want to call it pre-market or off-market, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they're not listed, and agents are holding listings and they need to move them. So definitely December's really heavy with off markets. There's always a lot of movement, and you speak to most buyers agents and they're quite busy. So I'm looking at 3 properties at the moment this week that might transact that are off market. So, and that's just purely because I've been busting agents proverbials for quite some time to get something happening, and now they're coming through. So it's a good time to be buying. That's for sure.
When you're meeting, say, the first home buyer upgrader, you said, look, some have got better expectations from others than others that want every box ticked.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what makes a great buyer brief? What are the things that you just go, that's not important, versus these are the things you should be focused on, the buyer brief?
If people can get in tune with what they need to live, then they become a lot easier to help. If somebody has $1 million but wants a 4-bedroom house, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But to make a great buyer is somebody that's clear on what they want, somebody that's been through a process of trying to buy for a few months, and they've been through multiple properties and they've got a really fair idea of what they need. They just need help refining that.
Yeah.
That's when it's a really good, it's a much easier process, so to say. But to find a perfect buyer, it's impossible because people are coming to buyer's agents because they need help in different ways for different things. Could be a lack of time. It could be a lack of understanding the market. It could be, lack of wanting to deal with agents. So it's not often
not confident around negotiations. A big one.
Exactly. Well, that too. So it's a hard question to answer, but dream client is someone that knows what they want already.
Yeah.
You go to the marketplace and you start going through property together and you're ready in line. You're on the same page. It's like, there's not so much hand-holding. There's not so much breaking down barriers. There's not so much working through compromise. If people have come to the realization of what they can and can't live without, then it's a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice one. There's one, I'll read this here. So I do a quick search, and we see this time and time again with our clients. So in domain.com.au, they listed the keywords. This is just coming out of COVID, for example, on the most searched words for property. Pool, waterfront, beach, and view, the most searched keywords. Now the inner west isn't ticking most of those.
Yeah.
So what is and again, it's an area that continues to be highly in demand, for example, but isn't meeting any of these criteria. Yeah. So what is the allure, for example? And it's a loaded question because I know that, but
absolutely,
from your perspective, what's driving that demand there?
I'll harp on about it for days, but it's community. It's that sense of community. It's what you're buying into, right? If you haven't grown up in the inner west and you start visiting the inner west to see friends and family, you quickly learn what the inner west is really about, and without doubt, it has to be community. On top of great public schooling and private schools in every suburb almost. Our connectivity to everywhere now, especially with all the tunnels and West Connects and the Roselle Exchange just opening up. Yeah. Getting anywhere is so much easier now. So it's quite central. We're in the middle of everywhere, right? Like if you draw a circle around the inner west, you can get to the east, you can get to the north, you can get to the south and the west pretty easily. But most of our streets are tight-knit. Like you'll see, you drive down many streets in the inner west and they're not big tree-lined streets and they're all small houses and they're all stacked on top of each other. Yeah. So it is, without doubt, I think it's community and it's what the inner west has been building on for the last 20 years. Like it's a complete different place to where I grew up. It's shifted. The demographic has shifted and with that, the mentality of people that live there has shifted as well. So like I said, very diverse, very open, forward-thinking and
it is a food. The other part is, it's a lifestyle scene, right?
It's lifestyle. So, once just about every corner has an eatery or we've got big shopping centres and all that, but most suburbs have a village, and in those villages they've got not just a type of food, but everything. And there's bars and pubs, and there's so much to choose from. And then if you want to get into the city, it'd be like 5, 10, 15, maybe 20-minute Uber trip to wherever you want to be as well. So the nightlife is fantastic.
I feel like the nightlife from Sydney has moved to the inner west almost. I went to the city the other night. I was like, it feels dead here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like you go up King Street, Newtown at night time and it's buzzing. Northern Street's really coming back to life as well. You go down Darling Street. Yes. Like 5 years ago, it was a ghost town, but like a lot of venues
it was sleepy at that point,
absolutely,
right? Now
absolutely. So where the peninsula is like really lively again. Yeah. A lot of the old pubs are getting redone and they're drawing different crowds from all over the place. Obviously King's Cross and the lockout laws and all that sort of shifted people, and they had to start searching for different places to go. And I think the inner west took a lot of that. So it's community, like everything you need at your fingertips, or
within a small radius,
very small radius. It's a cool place to live, and our public schools, like there's probably 3 or 4 that rate in the top in the state, which is pretty good, right? So a lot of people are drawn to that, and you'll see the people moving to the west are young families or people looking to start families. So. Yeah, if you're looking to come to the Inner West, come on over.
Mate, I say, mate, the next mayor is right here.
Maybe. I don't think Darcy would like that,
but the outlook for 2024, what I'm not gonna force you into a prediction, but there's got to be something where you're looking at where you're going, hey, look, I don't think it's going to get easier. I'm not going to answer the question for you, but what's your outlook for 2024 for the Inner West?
I think it all hinges on what happens with mortgage, with interest rates. Yeah. We've been through, I've lost count.
13 rate rises.
There you go. Yeah. I don't think they'll do it again before Christmas. I think they've put people through enough pain. I think if rates hold, buyers that were sitting back waiting are going to come back. I know we're still seeing the effects of people rolling off fixed rates into the variable rates, and there's always like that 3 to 4 month lag that you see, and people don't really understand what's going to happen with their mortgage. A lot of people are going into that and they're still okay. Like we're not seeing fire sales, we're not seeing mortgagees, we're not seeing banks closing doors on people, etc. So people are used to it. I think people have become accustomed to what the cost of money is these days. Yeah, it's probably slowed spending down, and
absolutely. I mean, it's finite resources, right? Income comes in, mortgage payment's gone up by 30%.
Exactly.
Something has to drop off.
You stop spending outside of the home, but people are still living in their homes, right? I feel buyers are going to get desperate again. I think if they hold, I think if rates go down at all, I think we're going to see a huge frenzy. I think the market will probably kick a little bit. It's going to become a lot harder for people to buy. Unless we see a lot more stock. But the problem that we've been seeing for, I reckon, the last 12 months, like this time last year, last November, December was really tough. Like there was good buying, right?
It was actually, you almost look at it going, we almost hit the bottom of the market last Christmas.
And since then, it hasn't been tough since. There's been little lows and dips. But it's only going to get harder if rates go back down and more buyers come into the market, right? Because what I'm seeing is, I think the lack of stock is people can't sell and buy at the same time. So people like stuff it will just stay here for another 2 years and we'll see what happens. You can't sell and then go rent because it's almost impossible to find a rental as well. Yeah. So there's this real holding thing where only the people that absolutely need to sell are selling, and there's so many more buyers.
Yeah.
So it's definitely still strong for a seller, I see, but there's opportunity in that. People are selling for various reasons. And again, back to off markets and why people sort of trade behind the scenes. And if you can get into that, it gets a bit easier to buy and make things happen. But unless we see a huge shift in stock coming to the market, it's still going to be tough buying. Even if rates keep going up, right? We've seen that people have just progressively cut back or tightened their budget to make ends meet, right?
Correct.
And I don't know anybody personally that's in mortgage stress, so to say. Yeah, people are struggling because, we got used to spending and having the great finer things in life and going out for dinner every other night and getting on Uber every night, where people have just slowed everything down. It's like instead of let's go out for dinner every week, people we'll give this week a miss, and then you might see them in a month, right? So people are adjusting.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, go from a $3,000 to a $10,000 mortgage, absolutely. But people have found a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And
so people aren't thriving, they're surviving, but they're not, it's not dire straits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, it's probably a loaded one for you, but what are your pre-approvals like? How many people are looking to buy still?
Our pre-approval pipeline is bursting at the seams.
That's what I mean.
And that's just, like I said, it's just my little business. Yeah. And then I speak to other broker mates and they got the same challenge. I'm on a broker chat and mate, pre-approvals are like pumping at the moment.
Nuts. And what does that tell you?
Yeah. And that's just people that are organised enough to get financed ready.
And then I got to deal with people that just show up at auction on Saturday and bid with nothing in place. And it's like, geez, but it is what it is. And people are confident because I'm not going to say if there's a will, there's a way, because a lot of people will get found out and get bidden if they're not prepared.
Yeah.
But people are like, if brokers and banks' pipelines are stacked, it means people are there looking to buy, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a motive to buy.
And your place says like auction participation rates, right? Like how many bidders are actively bidding?
Well, that's something that I've seen change, right? Look, 12 months ago, there'd be 7 or 8, 9, 10 regos, people registered to bid. Where now it's 2 or 3, but they're active bidders, right? Yes, a lot's passing in, but they're selling in the days afterwards. That could just be expectations of vendors needing to go through that to go, or to understand that their property is not worth what they really want it to be worth. And the market dictates what property is worth, right?
Yeah.
And nothing better than an auction dictates what a property is worth.
Yeah.
But number of registered bidders has definitely dropped, but active bidders are still there. Right? Properties are selling under the hammer. Yeah, it's a bit hard, and sometimes they take a lot longer to start, and it takes buyers longer to get into the auction. But once they raise their paddle once, they're invested and they keep going, right? And then it's obviously up to the agents and the auctioneer to do their thing and draw out as much money as they can. But property's selling, and I think next year's going to be the same. If we come into next year with all these re-energised buyers and the same amount of stock, it's just going to be it's Groundhog Day.
Correct.
And unless we get 4 or 5 more rate rises, which nobody wants to see, I think the market's just going to do what it's been doing since COVID, during COVID, right? So it's just tough.
I guess the sentiment there is if you're waiting for the ideal time.
Mate, look, I'll tell you, I know people that I've been seeing for 12 months that are still trying to time the market and waiting for the opportunity. And they're, let's call it $2 million, buys them nothing near what they could have bought 12 months ago.
That's the frustrating part, isn't it?
And that's it. And back to a good buyer.
Yeah.
People that have been through that already and understand the longer you wait, the harder it becomes.
Yeah.
For various reasons, are generally better buyers. Whereas in somebody that's never bought, just came into the market, full of energy and thinks that their money should stretch this far, are quite difficult, because the first it could be 4 to 6 weeks is me trying to show them where their money takes them and working through different suburbs. And they want to be in, I don't know, Petersham, but then you need to start looking away from Petersham to start seeing where or how much value you can get out of the money you have.
Yeah. And it maybe not, and Petersham may be the goal, but you can't start where other people ended up. So it's like, hey, look, there's a stepping stone. You start here and you can move upwards as well. Of course,
and a lot of the discussions I'm having with a lot of my clients at the moment is, if we can't have what you want right now, then get into the market so that you've got that stepping stone, that in 5 years, if we buy right, even though it's not an investment, it is kind of an investment because you want that asset to grow, right?
Yeah.
And and you just got to look back at things that help property grow, like trying to stay off main roads and away from train tracks. You can't get away from the flight path, but buying as much land as you can, buying a property you can improve in terms of space or renovations or whatever it might be, but using that property to sort of give you a leg up in 5 to 10 years when your family's outgrowing it, not trying to just get what you want right now, which a lot of people under sort of, in that 30 to 40 year bracket, even younger, we're in the mentality that we have to have everything now, right?
Yeah, correct.
Where if it's a new TV or a new phone or a brand new car, credit cards, God help me, they're the worst thing, right?
Okay.
So
look at you talking to that credit cards murder borrowing capacity. So it's like the anti credit card guy.
A lot of those people, it's at the start where we're working through how to increase capacity and how to make things better is by reducing debt or liabilities that the banks aren't going to like, right?
Bump up your borrowing capacity, be able to buy more home. That's where the upside is. But
within your means, right?
Not
trying to overstretch yourself for a home thinking about 10 years away. You can do the same with a different home that will generate as much growth and not stretching yourself beyond your means.
Buy within your means, and the bank will do that stress testing for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they're doing a great job at that at the moment.
Correct.
Jeez.
Great. So, Hamada, I want to say thank you very much, mate. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and mate, thanks for reappearing and sharing your knowledge, insights, mate. And you have a great Christmas. You're off down to Husky to the beautiful beaches of Huskisson.
Yes.
So I'm sure bump into you down there, mate. And
I will. I'll
see you down.
I'll make sure.
See you down for an ice cream, mate.
No, thanks for having me, though.
I really appreciate it, mate, and look forward to seeing what 2024 has in store for yourself and the team at BuyerX. And if you are looking around the inner west, whether you're buying, investing, upgrading, downsizing, for example, and you do want to reach out to Hamada and the team, we'll include details to their socials, to their website as well. So you, like I said, do due diligence and find out if they're the right fit for yourself as well. And if this episode has been helpful, feel free to leave us a review, tell a friend, or drop us a note with any other questions you want answered as well. That's a wrap. Until next time, take care.